In Australia right now, there are people earning $180,000 a year who feel genuinely financially stressed, and there are people earning $62,000 a year who are quietly building real wealth. The difference is not income, it is what they did with it. If that sounds backwards, this video is for you. Today we are looking at something nobody in finance talks about honestly enough. Why so many high earners in Australia end up with very little to show for it. Why the pay rise never seems to change anything. Why someone on a strong salary can wake up at 45 and realize the number in their bank account doesn't match the number on their payslip. This is not about blame. It is about understanding the mechanics. Because once you see them, you cannot unsee them. And once you understand them, you can choose differently. The first and most important thing to understand: income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is what lands in your account. Wealth is what stays. The ATO tells us that approximately 3.5 million Australians now earn over $100,000 a year. That's a large and growing number, but if you look at the ABS wealth data, actual net worth figures, what you find is that income and wealth do not move in lockstep the way most people assume. A significant portion of Australians in the top income brackets carry surprisingly modest net worth relative to their earnings, not because they are unlucky, not because life is unfair, but because of something called the hedonic treadmill. Here is how it works. Income goes up. Lifestyle immediately adjusts to match it. The new salary feels normal within 6 to 12 months. The next raise simply restores a sense of adequacy. It does not actually change anything. Someone gets a $20,000 pay rise. They lease a better car. They move to a nicer suburb. They upgrade the holidays. The $20,000 disappears and they feel roughly the same as before. This is not a moral failure. It is human psychology operating exactly as designed. The problem is that human psychology was not designed with financial freedom in mind. Before we go deeper, drop your income bracket in the comments. Anonymously is fine. I want to see the spread, and whether the pattern in this video matches what people are actually experiencing. Let us make this real. Someone earns $180,000. Take-home pay after tax is approximately $120,000 a year, around $10,000 a month. That should be enough. Mortgage on a home in a desirable suburb, $3,800 a month. 2-car repayments, including a European SUV, $1,900 a month. Private school fees for 2 children, $1,400. Dining, entertainment and holidays, $1,200. Groceries and living, $700. Insurance, utilities and subscriptions, $500. That is $9,500 gone before a dollar reaches an investment account. Left for investing, $500 a month, which is what someone on $45,000 could invest if they chose to. The income is extraordinary. The gap between income and investing is almost zero. If this is landing, stay with me, because the psychology behind why this happens is even more interesting than the maths, and I want to show you what the other side of this looks like first. Now contrast that with someone earning $62,000, take home around $49,000, a modest home, an older car, no private school fees. They invest $500 a month consistently. In 25 years at a conservative 7% annual return, approximately $380,000 in an investment portfolio, plus superannuation, plus home equity. The $180,000 earner who invests $300 a month, less than 2% of their income, ends up with approximately $228,000. The ordinary earner has more, not because of income, because of habit. That is the trap. Large income flowing in, lifestyle costs flowing out, almost nothing making it to investments. The gap is nearly zero, and the gap is everything. Because this is not really a maths problem, it is a psychology problem, and the solution is simpler than most people think. When income rises, the reference group changes. The $180,000 earner goes to work and their colleagues earn similarly. They live in a suburb where the neighbours drive similar cars. The invisible baseline for what normal looks like shifts upward, quietly, consistently and powerfully. This is the comparison trap, and it is relentless. The car that seemed indulgent at $60,000 feels justified at $180,000 because the people nearby have similar cars. The renovation that felt extravagant becomes the floor for what a home should look like. Status spending is real and it is powerful. The new car is not just transport. It is a signal. The private school is not just education. It is belonging to a group. The suburb is not just a location. It is an identity. And the belonging costs money. Private school fees in Australia can run $15,000 to $30,000 per child per year. For 2 children, that is up to $60,000 a year after tax, going to maintain membership of a social group. And then there is social media. A constant, curated, highlight reel comparison machine that shows everyone's best moments and none of their credit card statements. The scroll that makes a $180,000 salary feel inadequate because someone from school just posted their 4th overseas trip this year. The barbecue where someone casually mentions their investment property. The casual comment about a bonus or a share portfolio. Every one of these quietly raises the benchmark for what everyone around the table should have. None of this makes anyone a bad person. It makes them human. But it does mean that income rising without awareness does not automatically produce wealth. Some Australians on modest incomes, $55,000, $65,000, $75,000, build genuinely significant wealth over time. Not because they are extraordinary, not because they win anything, but because they keep the gap between income and spending consistently wide. The gap is everything. Income minus spending equals investing. Investing compounded over decades equals wealth. The ordinary earner who builds wealth also has something else, a different identity. They see themselves as an investor who earns a salary, not a salary earner who might invest someday. That distinction sounds small. Over 20 years, it is enormous. When income rises for this person, they do not ask, what can I upgrade? They ask, what can I invest? The reference point is not the comparison group. The reference point is the future version of themselves. And over time, the compounding does something remarkable, not just financially. It changes the identity. The person who has been investing consistently for 20 years does not just have more money. They have a completely different relationship with money and options that most high earners never acquire despite their income. Options built not by a salary, but by a habit, compounded over time. So what does it actually look like to break this cycle? Here are 5 things that separate the high earner who builds real wealth from the one who stays stuck. 1. Define your enough. Before making any financial decision, ask, what does a genuinely good life actually require, not what does the comparison group seem to require. The person who defines enough is almost impossible to catch on the hedonic treadmill, because they have decided what winning looks like for them, not for someone else. 2. Automate the gap. Before money arrives in your account, a portion is already scheduled to leave it, into super, into an ETF, into a mortgage offset. The investing happens first. The lifestyle funds itself from what remains. Pay yourself first is the oldest piece of financial advice in existence. It is also the most consistently ignored by high earners. 3. Resist the identity upgrade. Every time income rises, there is enormous social pressure to visibly upgrade the lifestyle. The high earner who builds wealth resists this, or at least delays it significantly. The pay rise does not immediately become a better car, it becomes a bigger investment. 4. Opt out of the comparison, quietly and deliberately. Stop measuring your lifestyle against the perceived average of the peer group. Start measuring against your own future self. What does your 65-year-old self need you to decide today? 5. Shift the identity. Stop thinking of yourself as a salary earner who might invest someday. Start thinking of yourself as an investor who also earns a salary. That single identity shift changes how every dollar decision is framed. Identity, once genuinely adopted, is the most durable financial habit there is. It changes what feels like a win and what feels like a loss. And it runs silently, in every spending decision, every month for decades. One more thing before we wrap up, the formula that holds all of this together. Income earns a living. The gap buys a life. That is the whole video in 2 lines. The solution is not earning more. It is keeping more, and putting that gap to work consistently over time. The uncomfortable truth about 6-figure income in Australia is this. The salary is not the problem, and it is not the solution. The problem is what happens when money arrives without a clear philosophy about what it is for. If you want to understand what different levels of total wealth actually look like in retirement, the net worth by age video covers that. And if you want to see where your super should be right now, the super by age video has the breakdown. Both are linked in the description. Drop your honest answer in the comments. High earner building wealth, high earner feeling the pinch, or ordinary earner quietly winning. I want to see the real spread. Subscribe to Aussie Money Explained. New video every week. See you in the next one.